Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another sermon, a talk. I'm usually drinking coffee during these videos. I don't know why. It's just how it lines up organically. So maybe I just call this coffee corner. We'll go with that for now. Okay, so today's talk is all about the underdogs and the nerds versus the jocks, the popular guys, the preps, so to speak, if you're from the 90s being preppy and all that. I recently found out that it was Ralph Lauren that started the whole preppy kind of styling with the shirts and all that. Yeah, anyways. I remember just growing up through the 90s, it was always the nerds and the preps. And I definitely wasn't a prep because we always saw preps as coming from the rich part of town. And they would always come with this arrogance and this cockiness and all that. And when you're a kid, you want to have that division so you know it's us versus them. But I think as you become an adult, the lines get blurred as you get to know more people, and not everyone from that side of town is cocky and arrogant and mean, and not everybody in your camp is all that great or nice or good. So that's what we're going to get into today. Get a drink of coffee here. All right, so if you're anybody that's been born since like 1950 up until today, we are basically programmed by movies, TV shows, media in general. We're sat in front of the TV, we watch the shows, and we kind of have these narratives pounded into our head as to what actually will happen in life. And if you've watched enough John Hughes movies or even Back to the Future, you will notice that the nerd that gets picked on in school winds up getting the cheerleader, the girl, the coveted really hot chick in the movie. But when you want to line that up in reality, that is definitely not the case. Say you're thinking you're the nerd in school, you're the guy that doesn't get. I have my hand on my chest as if I was. I mean, I was a nerd, but I was always just regular guy. I wasn't preppy, I wasn't too nerdy, I was just like in the middle. I was at the high point of the bell curve. You will notice that even if you're not a nerd and you're just quiet in class and you just kind of chill and you're not like arrogant and cocky like a prep or a jock. I was never good in sports. I was too tiny to enjoy sports. Like, imagine being 5'2" and you're in a high school football team and everyone's throwing the ball over you. You're not going to have fun. And people, well, you should work out more. You should just do this. It's like, yeah, you try doing that. It's like playing a video game that's like on super extreme hard level and still expecting to have fun doing it when you have like no abilities at all. My cat is eating food right here next to me, so we'll get some of that. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, I mean, playing sports, I mean, that's where you connect and you get like a community of brothers together. And it seems like, from what I've noticed, if you played football or wrestled in school, you kind of have this bond with kids than you would with others in your regular classrooms. That's how I actually lost friends. Is where the friends that I did have, the good friends, they got into wrestling, and that became their crew, and they stopped hanging out with me and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I got into making music and stuff outside of school or any school activities. And plus, I just didn't like school. I didn't like going to school. I didn't like the people. I didn't like the whole vibes. I remember being in class and a lot of the jock kids that were pretty much brain dead and stupid. They would have the charisma, though, and a lot of teachers would laugh along with them. They would get up and just act a fool. And I would just be sitting in class just like ready to leave and stay quiet and stuff. So they would get away with all this crap, and the teachers would single me out. I remember this one teacher, sophomore year, I'd just be minding my own business doing the work, and he was like part of a soccer team or something. He kind of reminded me of Melissa Etheridge or something, but he was married to like an older woman, like 15 years older than him. The dude was just weird. But anyways, he would like, hey, Blake, yeah, you want to get in on this conversation? Be like, no. Like, he would try to shine a light on me to, like, make me look bad. Like, for no reason at all. Would go in, sit down. I wouldn't try to, like, get loud or anything. You know, the people that were in his class would get a lot more leniency and just be like, oh, yeah, so what are you doing this weekend? God, I hated high school so much. You have no idea. In high school, basically, like, if you ever hear the old Bowling for Soup song, High School Never Ends, it truly doesn't. That song is so damn true because it's like mini real world in high school. And when you get out into the real world, all the cliques, all the same kind of characters are still there. So anyways, back to the movies and TVs where they want to create this narrative where the loser nerd kid that's shy and, you know, is quiet, gets picked on, winds up getting with the cheerleader. That isn't true. Okay, let's just, you know, nail that home. George McFly does not get the chick in the end. Biff Tannen, the jock, the prep, doesn't wind up just simply scrubbing and wiping down cars for a living. That's not how that works. Now, you wonder, well, why did that narrative even happen in the first place? Why do these movies portray the loser nerd to get the hot chick and the jock becoming the homeless guy at the end of the movie? Think about who writes the movies. The nerds. The nerds are writing the movies. They went through a horrible time through high school, and now they somehow get into a position to make movies. And they're going to take their resentment, their anger that they're holding on to from years ago, write it into a script. You can just see the nerds now. Okay, yeah, and then the jock, he actually falls down into mud, and then he takes his nice fancy car and he rams it into the back of this manure truck, and then he gets covered in manure. And then the dorky guy that likes comic books and sci-fi, he winds up getting the girl because he has that one punch, and then, yeah, it all falls together. Yeah, let me write that down. Yeah. Yeah. So that is media, movies, TV. Push that aside. Let's go to reality. Let's pull that curtain open and see what is really going on in the world. The jocks, the preps, you know, all the guys and kids that had arrogance growing up, and you'd see them in school and they'd be overly cocky, overly carte blanche, you know, that's what they would think they have. They are absolutely fine. You know, if they come from a background where as kids they have that kind of mentality and attitude, they are going to be held up by previous generations' wealth in the family, what have you, whatever it is, to push them forward and become even more successful out there in the world. And you will see them with the hotties, the good-looking ones. You know, it all transfers. Like I said, high school never ends. The old Bowling for Soup song. So you got the jocks, you know, they kind of grow up getting the cheerleader and all that. Now we get to the nerds. And a lot of nerds do grow up more disenchanted, more lost. There's just a lot of problems. Now, some of them, you know, get successful. They get into, like, websites, software development, you know, high-ranking white-collar jobs. But a lot of them get even weirder as they get older. And I'm not going to mention any names, but I know a few nerdy friends back in the day where they would just become reclusive. They would become just very unsociable, more unsociable than they were in high school. Needless to say, they did not have a hero arc, and they wound up with the cheerleader. That's for sure. And you got to look out for nerds too. I'm talking to the women, because if you had a dude that grew up as a nerd and he never got any chicks growing up and all that, and you're basically like his first girlfriend, be very aware, because there is that whole deal of, okay, you're his first girlfriend, but he missed out on so many relationships that he saw all his friends getting girlfriends. And if a girl that is slightly hotter than you will hit on him, he will just jump ship from your relationship and jump right on. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but most guys would feel that way, where I need to jump up quickly. As opposed to a jock that probably went through, so many girlfriends and relationships, they actually have experience to know what they want. So when a woman comes up to them and approaches them, they may be more than likely be like, I know what I have. I got it. I've seen your type before. I've been with your type before. But when it comes to a nerd that's only experienced, one chick his entire life, and then there's another one, it's like, I'm getting the jitters. Oh, I'm getting butterflies. I'm not used to this type of attention. Oh, I don't know what to think. Their brain short wires or short circuits. But yeah, the nerds get older and creepier. Not all, but some, to where they're the type where they're at a table at a restaurant, and when the waitress walks away, they slowly put up their phone and snap a photo, and they'll forget that the flash is on, and the waitress notices the flash go past her, and she'll look back and be like, oh my god. As we all do love an underdog story, don't get me wrong. I am an underdog as well. I don't come from money. I don't come from any kind of carte blanche kind of family thing or nothing, but I see it. You got to observe. You got to be neutral with everything that you see and observe things. And I am more nerdy than jockey. I'm like I said, I'm in the middle. I get along with the jocks. I get along with the nerds because you can't blanket term everybody that's a jock and a prep. Because all too many times you will wind up in situations where you are paired up with a prep or a jock or a nerd. And you'll realize not all of them have the same kind of thing about them that you grew up thinking. Your perceptions will be blurred and almost killed off because everyone is different. I have so many preppy jock friends. I have so many nerd friends as well. But the whole narrative of thinking that, oh, the nerd is actually the real nice guy and the jock is the real mean bully guy, it is not true. It's 100% not true. And you learn this when you're an adult, when you go get a gym membership. You finally do it. You take the plunge, you realize you're getting a little fat. You need to, keep the body going, and so you last another 40 years. You go in there and you'll look at all the guys. They're all wearing like Nike shirts and stuff. Oh, that's preppy. Oh, that's jock. But you'll soon find out going to a gym bros are like the coolest people in the world. Before going into the gym, you're going to be this nerdy guy that's like always looking at people and judging them by what they wear. And you'll come back from the gym to the house going like, yeah, I'm ready. All that stuff I was thinking, it was stupid. Why was I thinking that? That's a weak mindset. And it's not because you're a douche or a jock. It's because you realize a lot of that crap that might have been implanted in your head watching the movies it's all crap. Now you ask, why the transformation when you go to the gym? When you go to the gym, you start working out, you'll realize, oh, these jockey guys are with you. They are working along. Like, they see the imperfections in themselves. They're not walking around thinking they're perfect. They're at the gym because they see imperfections and they're all wanting to improve. We're all in this together. And it's hard to hold the narrative that it's nerds versus jocks when you're almost all as a team in that gym. Even though you're working separately on your body or whatever, so many gym bros will come up to you. If they see that you're doing something wrong, how you're lifting or moving, they will help you out and be like, hey, do it like this, all right? Yeah. And when it comes to nerds, and my experience with like real nerdy kids and friends, they're always trying to one up. Like, they're almost sniveling and trying to look out how they can make themselves feel better instead of like helping you up. So some nerds, I'm not saying all, because like I said, you can't blanket term anything, but more or less it's a thing that I don't get from the jocks or the preps, but nerds will want to test you, and if you fall short to their knowledge or their abilities, they'll go, yeah, well, I got this. Oh yeah, well, I know how to do that. So there's almost like a cockiness that comes from the nerds more than the jocks, because more jocks you hang out with, they're more like, oh yeah, man, screw it, bro, let's just do it. And you kind of feel sometimes like brain dead being around jocks, because you're like, man, some of these people need to have more substance, but You know, if you get too much substance, you wind up with the nerds, and it's just too much of like a infighting thing. So you got to have that nice balance. And trust me, growing up, I was never really bullied, surprisingly, with how small I am. But my experience was like I did feel invisible. Like I was the quiet kid. No one really either praised me or disavowed me. It was like I just didn't exist. I roamed through the halls. I just went to all the classes. I heard more people talking about me more than they were talking to me. I think I snapped in sophomore year because I was like, I'm so bored. This sucks. So for my own entertainment, I kind of like let loose and stopped worrying what people would think about me or almost the consequences of what I would do. And that's when I finally felt true freedom to say what I want, to do what I want. It's not like I got in trouble or anything like that, but like just socially, I stopped caring about like being nervous and I think that was also with puberty and hormones. Like that's when you kind of learn and define your personality is going through high school. So like sophomore year, that's when I started, and that's when I started making music too. And God, good times. It was the best. I've been the same way ever since. I mean, I was funny and creative beforehand. Don't get me wrong, but like I really just broke out and I think maybe even snapped a little bit. It definitely does run in the family. If we could wrap this video up in a nice little bow, I will say that we're all gonna make it. Nerds, jocks, we need to come together. Yes, nerds, I'm talking to you. The jocks may be a little, football, party, kegger, yeah. But talk to some of them and you'll realize they're actually really awesome. And jocks, hey, maybe get in touch with stuff that you actually liked growing up as a kid. Gaming. I think I'm talking more about people my generation, millennials, because I think everybody games now. So that's actually really cool. It's almost like jocks and nerds, you know, Generation Z have actually made a union where they all game and they're all into nerdy shit and some nerds are actually into more jockey shit and being arrogant and preppy too. So I think we are on a good path, at least in that aspect. A lot of other aspects, maybe not. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I am done with my coffee, so that is it for me. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you next time. Peace out. My cat is eating food right here next to me, so we'll get some of that. And now she's looking at me. Farting. Go ahead, eat.